Okay, I think we should be live. So, hi all. Welcome to the 12th episode of the Game Week Navigators. I'm Aditya and I have Leon and Sankar with me. And yeah, Game Week 1 done and dusted, guys. How was it?
It was quite good for me. Quite a decent start, but then it's game week one, so yeah, it doesn't really mean anything for now. But I'm quite satisfied with the points. How about you, Sankap?
Uh, Decent. Pretty happy with the score. 71 points is a good start for me. Right. Just I went transfer to the captaincy, didn't work out. I was pretty pissed at United. I generally am, but I think I was more pissed at United this time. But other than that, I think went well. Overall, just looked forward to the football, right? And I think there are some really good matches to look at.
Yes, Game Week 1 point of view for me, I scored about 67 odd points. I think I might be one of the most best or the lowest scoring FPL managers. Yeah, I mean, I kind of went a bit different with the players here and there, maybe two, three players off the template. And like you, Sankalp, even I captained Rashford, and it is something worth remembering once we reach game week 38. So, with that being said, let's move on to our talking points. So, these are the things we are going to discuss in this probably a short stream. We are going to keep it very short and sweet. So, for those who are wondering about what actually happened in Game Week 1, we do have a stream, or we had a stream that covered all the games in depth with their stats and average positions and yeah, everything else. So, Nehal and FPL underscore Kanti, both of them stream post Game Week 1. So, if you guys want to check it out and have uh, a much needed insight on how Game Week 1 went, do check it out. We'll drop it in the description, or else you can just find it in our streams. Anyways, so we're going to start this stream with looking at the transfer trends, the current moves that are being made. Then we'll look at the Game Week 2 fixtures in general for a brief. Then we'll talk about few of the dilemmas or few of the questions that are being pondered around here and there in the community, with followed by the captaincy options and last but not the least our bus teams at the moment. So let's jump straight into the transfer trends, and we have a very um, exciting name at top. Alexander Isak, who also I think got a price rise to 7.6. I think Leong will take us through it whether it made sense for people to get him in now or not.
Yeah, I think it's quite surprising to me because he's the first player to rise for 0.1 million, and looking at our next three fixtures with very tough fixtures against Man City, and we have Liverpool and we have Brighton next. So it's not to say that Isak won't score two goals, three goals again in those matches, but we look at us going away to Man City, which has the best defense, best home defense last season, and they expect Isak to score. And another thing is, not sure if they noticed that Isak was sub off around the 70 minutes last game, I think, for Wilson to come in. So he's not guaranteed to play 90 minutes. That's one thing, and also they're playing away to one of the toughest defense. So I'm not sure that this is the best move that everyone should make. So it's a big surprise for me. For me, I wouldn't to buy Isak immediately for now. Yeah.
Yes, I'll go to Sankalp on this one. There are a lot of people. There's around 290k managers who have gotten Rodrigo. Obviously, he scored a 13 pointer in game week 1 with a goal and assist. So it's a bit,
Yeah, I
controversial.
think first few weeks in FPL, it's always a lot of reactive noise which comes in because people who play FPL for the first, couple of times are pretty new to the game, right? They are always very active initially, right? And when some things don't work, most of them drop out, right? That drop rate keeps increasing. So I'm not surprised. I mean, I just found it funny. Whoever scores more, higher points gets into this list now. You see, Shiva was put in. Do I sell Bruno for Rodri? Right. I hope not, Shiva. Given you are a United fan, more than anything, and I have Bruno. I'm just sticking to him. But this is just purely reaction. In case you're watching our pod here, right? These are some of the things that we want to cover. that especially at the start of the season, try not to be as reactive as you can, right? Take a bit of more time, and especially game week 1 is very very limited sample. Teams that played a certain way in game week 1 will not play certain way in game week 2. For example, for Newcastle, Villa just pressed so high and left things so open at the back that it was easier for Newcastle to carve them out open. But to do that at Etihad is going to be a different ballgame altogether, right? So keep your patience, see out things a bit before you start making your assumptions.
Okay.
Yes, I mean patience is something that is needed in this game, as you need to play this over the longer run, not just take knee jerk reaction decisions is what I would like to say. But I like to put out this question to Leon, is that Nihal has asked that even though this is not relevant at the moment, but can we say that Isaac is a certain starter over Wilson maybe over the course of few weeks and all? Do we see that happening?
For game week 2, I think he's quite certain to start. But we have to see after that. I'm not really sure because it's will how Eddie Howe will take it game by game. So I think our starting front three will maintain, which is Gordon, Isaac, and also Almiron. I think the combination is quite well last game, even though we have Barnes and also um, Wilson coming in and score. But I think his usual style is to stick to the winning lineup, and I don't see any changes to come for Game Week 2.
Okay, so I think we've touched upon the transfer in so far. Let's look at the transfer out, and I think pretty much they're all to the point. KDB is injured. Stones, we are not sure whether he'll play for the weekend. Probably he might. Mings is out long term. Kane has moved to Bayern. And Gabriel Bajales, I think we'll cover up a little bit later when Sankalp gives his insights. We're not going to, reveal our cards here at the moment. So these were from the website, and now we'll look at from FPL statistics. Now looking at for the possible price risers and price drops. So Luis Diaz is ranked top, followed by Ake, João Pedro, Disasi, Madison Mbumo. Obviously, these are players who managed to get returns in game week 1 and who probably have good run of games.
Mhm.
And the probably the possible droppers are all again straightforward. So any of these names, entice you,
Yeah, I
the
just want
ones
to
that will go
mention
up.
that I'm one of the contributor for the possible rises for Luis Diaz because I just made the transfer. More about that later. Yeah, but other than that, I think what stands out to me is Yao Pedro and Madison and Bremo. Three of them did pretty well in game week 1, and I think have a lot of potential long term. Not sure about Ake and Disasi because we don't really see a lot from them yet. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're done with the transfer trends now. Pretty straightforward. Let's quickly jump into what are the fixtures for game week 2. Arguably, the best game of the game week would be obviously Spurs versus United. And there are a few interesting games that could go either way, is what I would say, because game week 1 was pretty interesting. We saw a lot of different approaches from teams. For example, I would say Luton, they were quite offensive against Brighton.
Mhm.
Villa played a very high line against Newcastle, which was very unexpected. Uh, so we've seen a lot of different things. Everton had more XG and lost. So, I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
What
mean,
what really attract me is here that a lot of good teams that many people own in Game Week 1 are actually playing away for Game Week 2, which includes you see Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal. All these teams are playing away, yet a lot of their assets are owned. And also there's one very big, heavily owned side, which is Liverpool, which we'll talk about later, which is they're playing against Bournemouth, and a lot of people seems to think that Liverpool will just walk over Bournemouth, which for me is not really the case because we have seen Bournemouth's performance in the game week 1. They are no longer the team under Scott Parker last season, which started badly and in unstable way. So I don't think it will be a walk in the park for Liverpool, and Bournemouth will definitely give up a fight. And Spurs and United, as we can see, might be a really high scoring game with Spurs really push up and attack in uh, Ange new style of playing. So it's for me it will be the game of the week for me to look for is Spurs versus United, and also Man City versus Newcastle. Two very big game, a very exciting game to look forward to.
So Sankalp,
Yeah.
anything you want to add
Uh,
here?
so this is the week that you start forming your, I think, theories and biases, right? Start taking in those assumptions. Game week one, I did not take a lot except the physical fitness of players, right? Who's looking good, who's not looking great, right? Tactically, there are going to be changes in this game. For example, if you look at Arsenal, we played a very strange lineup to a lot of people in game week one. Though we did cover that lineup. I remember in our preseason pod about Arsenal, right? So there are going to be changes now when we go away to Palace, right? Similarly, Bournemouth, like Leong was saying, will surprise player people because now Bournemouth does have a very different manager. He comes from Spain, a lot of experience, and they in fact had the third highest defensive line in game week one after only City and Arsenal. So they played a really high line. Will the coach continue to do that at Anfield away? If he does that, then I feel Liverpool have a really strong chance of cutting them open. Right, someone like Salah can really go there and score a really big one. Right, can maybe score a hat trick even. But if the coach has experience, he can also decide not to do the same thing against them at Anfield, which he did at home to West Ham. Right, so now is the time that we start knowing whether the manager is being philosophical or whether the manager is being practical. Right, uh, we saw Wolves attack United a lot, but United were not able to attack them back in transitions, which we always relate United with, right? We are going to see them again because we all know that Spurs at least have a philosophical coach. Ange Ball is going to be one which is going to be really attacking. So I do feel United will have the capability as well as the chances to hurt them in transition. Will they be able to do that? If not, then what am I doing with that extra Bruno as a player, right? Game week three is when I'll look to final discard Bruno. So a lot of theories in my mind, but I'm unable to create anything out of it. I'm also looking at Aston Villa and Everton because I have a Everton goalkeeper and a Aston Villa striker. So I need to think, okay, hey, this is how things are going to turn up. Also, Chelsea. Chelsea is, I think, people really opened up their mind to Chilwell in game week one. I had him since a long time in my drafts, so I'm pretty happy to see him take the positions that he took. Right, so good fixtures ahead. And Nehal is saying Ariola is a beast. He loves to attack. Yes, as a Bournemouth manager, I mean his credibility is there. His past record says that he's a very attacking manager. But if he can attack, there's a chance that he can hurt Liverpool as well because Liverpool did not look good at all. The moment Chelsea started attacking them, they hardly created anything. The moment Chelsea attacked them, right? So, if you ask me if there is a time to face Liverpool, I think today is the best time to face Liverpool because they are yet to have a defensive midfielder. They're yet to settle down as a squad. So there are chances that things go either way, right? So and this is one of the reasons now I'm looking to scale back on my ambition. Take all those points. I want to just relax and let things play out before I start, taking those bold moves.
Yes, I mean we have the international break coming up, so possibly good time to reflect on how the initial few weeks go, and that's, I mean historically people use their wildcard, so that's perfectly makes sense. So for me, I saw a lot of things in game week one that really upset me as well as made me optimistic. So I went with Nicholas Jackson as one of my forwards, and I was so disappointed he didn't manage to score, but he looked very promising.
Yeah.
So I'm not that disheartened. Obviously, I didn't get enough points, but I think probably people will start picking him up over the next few weeks. So I'm not that disappointed. But obviously, I'm losing potential points from Visa or Pedro and all. So I mean, you need to pick and choose what you want to fight at this point. So I think the best answer would be time and patience. But unfortunately, this game has been so weird last year is that if you miss out on a couple of points that people have got, it is going to be a tough task for you to chase them. And towards the end, it becomes completely template train, and we've seen how it was last season. Anyways, game week two fixtures. Obviously, we've got there, and Nihal obviously has said that we will surely concede. It will come down to Allison masterclass to reduce the goals. Liverpool fan, Anfield, and he's saying they will concede.
I mean, that's just the state of Liverpool defense, right? Like I was saying, there are teams who are yet to settle down, and this includes Arsenal as well, right? So we have to wait it out. Either you take their players and wait it out, or you move out, pick some other player, other team which is looking good, and then come back to them later. So that's the decision you have to take.
Any other games or any other teams you guys want to particularly discuss? Like, I would say probably the Wolves. I mean Wolves, United Wolves since I saw, and it was a complete tactical masterclass from Gary O'Neill. He schooled us,
Mhm,
is the least to say. They packed the midfield. They packed it narrow. They made sure that there were at least two or three people marking Casemiro, Fernandes, Mount. They made sure that United weren't able to transition quickly in the attack, and pretty much that was evident. So this is something that United need to work on. But from Wolves, they sacked their coach. They got in a new manager. Within a short span of time, he managed to, put on an excellent performance away from home. People wrote them off saying their relegation team crap and all.
mhm.
To be honest, to give him credit, last year Bournemouth weren't that bad after they let go Scott Parker and when O'Neill came in. So he's a good coach, and uh, I think Wolves could be like a very different team to see this year.
Yeah,
So I think we shouldn't rule them out.
I think Gary O'Neill is very underrated for what he did last year, which he did the impossible because everyone thought Bournemouth is going down. So and also I was very impressed with Wolves' attack against United, especially with the player Cunha. I think everyone saw him just slide through United defense like it's nothing. So it's just that his finishing have let him down a bit. So it's interesting to see whether he'll be an FPL option going forward as well. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Circle, or we can go to the next topic?
I think we can go to the next slide.
Cool. So next is obviously we have like sort of dilemmas of the week. Like we've just put down few of the important questions that have been floating around over the last few days. Obviously, we are just probably a day or day and a half away from the deadline. Again, Friday night football, and we have a no disrespect, a very underwhelming game on Friday. So uh, apologies for that. Okay, so let's look. It might be a 6 pointer for both the teams, so it's important for them. But for FPL point of view, it's going to be Baldock coming in for Mahales potentially for people. That doesn't happen. So here we have the first question, and that goes straight to Sankar. Keep or sell Gabriel Mahales? And I'm going to add in one question from the chat that Nehal had put in. I'm going to see where is that. I saw one question from Nehal where it said, yeah, one question. Yeah, here it is. If Kabore and Bayer are in your team and you have Mahales, and yeah, obviously, what do you do in such a case?
So, from a start point of view, I am fairly certain, like 80% certain that Gabriel plays. I don't think our formation Palace away will be that attacking in nature, right? Where we played like I think 3-1-3-1 kind of a setup, right? So we had even our defenders. I think at one point of time I saw Saliba who was in their half, right? And at one point of time Saliba was a CCB, right? He was the central defender. He gave that assist to Saka. So you can understand the nature at which we are trying to penetrate that side, right? So that changes primarily because I think we'll be a bit more defensive against Palace, who are known for the counter attacking pace. uh, So we have to be a bit more respectful of that. And it's a away game; it's no longer a home game, and that's the reason I feel there will be a bit more change, and we'll go back to our favored 4-3-3. Now, whether Howard starts or Rice starts in that LCM 8 position will be something to see. So I still feel Eddie, Martinelli, and Saka should remain our front three. The game should favor these three. There's a chance that Howard does go back and compete with Eddie for number nine. So there are a lot of variables. That's why I said when you look at Arsenal, there's a lot of variable. I have uh, Saka and Martinelli in my team. I'm more than happy to keep them because they are the more consistent ones. I don't think in the next 5 games Gabriel will have a lot more benchings. Even Fulham, we don't Fulham at home we don't have a great record. They always keep us very close. I think 2-1, 1-0, those kind of wins. So if you have Gabriel, unless you're moving to someone like Chilwell, I would say you can wait. And how do you move to Chilwell because he's now 0.1 million expensive as well, right? So only way you will do that is with a hit, and I don't think this is the week to take that hit, right? Rather see it out. There's a good probability that Arsenal can take out a clean sheet. We did it last season away, game week 1. We can do it again. And we were the best away defensive side last season. So give us that bit of relaxation, hold back, see out this week. Uh, there's a good probability that Gabriel does start, unless you get certain news. Otherwise, let's talk FPL says, hey, again, Gabriel is getting best. Unless you get that rumor, I would say sit down. He's expected to start, play out this week as well, and then you know what to do. You can use that true free transfers to, bring in someone like Chilwell for game week 3, as well as make another move in, from your attack as well, depending who you want to bring in or who you want to ship out.
Yeah, speaking about Gabriel, actually, I have one question for Sankap. So, since now that Timber is out for I think a few months, so how do you think Arsenal will line up if, let's say, Gabriel starts four at the back? Who will start on the left in the place of Timber?
I expect Zinchenko to come in. He seems more or less fit. He's been in the training with the team for 2 weeks now. So that is my first choice, or first expectation. In case he doesn't, I think Kuyor is the guy who will come in. Though we did see Tomiyasu pick up that place, but Kuyor is a bit more attacking. He has a stronger passing range, something that you will need when you're playing against side like Palace who can sit back, right? So that's my expectation. But uh, in my mind, there's a strong probability Jincheko comes back right in.
No, I just had a question because it's based on what Nehal has said. Probably those who have Salah will have two 4 million defenders and maybe a 4.5 million striker who probably doesn't play. What they do in such a case because they are caught off guard now. If Gabriel doesn't play, they are down to 10. If he plays well and good, it's good. So it's a very you're in a pickle now.
Yeah, but why do you go there? That's the question, right? I don't see a lot of sure shot clean sheet matches. It's very difficult to judge today, right? Maybe Villa gets one against Everton. We don't know Newcastle against City, right? So you don't go there. City might concede against Newcastle, right? So I don't see a lot of sure shot chances, and I don't want to take a hit for that. Downgrade if you come down on 4.5 again. I don't see a lot of sure shot opportunities, right. So very difficult to find out a correct answer. I would rather sit back because I feel at the end of this game week we'll definitely have the correct answer, even if it's selling Gabriel. But you never know. At the end of this week, you might be pretty happy with Gabriel because he scored a header from a corner.
Yeah, it's a very funny game. So we'll keep it's a again we'll go back to the old way of that it's a wait and watch approach. So that we're done with the first question. Next is bring a Liverpool attacker versus Bournemouth. If so, who? I mean, if you have Salah, happy birthday. You're going to maybe have a good fest this weekend. Those who don't have, like us, we need to find a sofa, a big one, and hide. Those who have a different Liverpool attacker, also I think you'll have a mini party if you're lucky. Now the issue is that I got in Diego Jota game week 1 and it was a slap to my face. He got subbed off and he wasn't that great against Chelsea. So I don't know if Niall is watching in the chat. What do you think of Jota, Niall? Do you think he'll play or it's time to ship him out? I'll put the same question to you guys. I mean, just as Jota as an example.
Young,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you watch the match, actually, Darwin Núñez come in and he did a lot better than Jota in that position. So if it's down to me, I would assume that Núñez will start ahead of Jota in this one, while Gakpo and Diaz and Salah keep their places. So not sure about what the Liverpool experts think about, but this is what I predict.
we do have a response from Nehal as well, who says Jota had a slight knock, right? So I think the easy way in is getting in Darwin Nunes, but at the
Mhm.
same time, in my mind, Liverpool tend to prefer Darwin Nunes as a solution against deep lying defenses, right? No bulky defenders who are going to sit back is where they bring in Nunes. Given the fact that we were just speaking about Bournemouth and how they have changed the playing style, and they might be a bit more aggressive, might have a bit more high line. I do feel Jota can be, if fit, he can be a he can be a good alternative because in transitions again Jota is a very good player, right? So he can really hit you in transitions. He did not look great against Chelsea, but to have Jota or someone like Hakpo in that attack, I think the midfield needs to be rigid. You cannot have Hakpo, right? So they need to bring in someone like Jones and maybe that trio of midfielders need to act more as a unit, and then you can take those. So either for me, in my mind, given the game state we are expecting, it can be someone like Hakpo or Jota rather than Nunes because Bournemouth is a different Bournemouth.
Yeah, I would like to bring up a point that a lot of Game Week one managers actually, if you don't own Salah, most of them don't own any Liverpool assets at all. So which bring them to a dilemma that whether they should bring in a Liverpool player just for the sake of Game Week 2 against to target Bournemouth. Because you look at the next fixture again, they go away to Newcastle, again a very tough fixture. So do you want to get a Liverpool asset in just for the for the Bournemouth game? Or if yes, then I think it's what worries them is if they don't bring anyone in and Liverpool maybe score like 4 or 5 goals against Bournemouth, then they'll miss out. So this is what that worries them, and me, of course, I don't start with any Liverpool player as well in game week one. So it's one of the issue that worries me as well because I don't see any issues in my team to solve. So my initial plan is to roll the transfer. However, I look at this Liverpool game and I look at it as an opportunity for me to pick a player that can actually haul, which makes me think a lot. And eventually, I brought in a Liverpool attacker. Yeah.
But what are your thoughts about Diaz against Newcastle? Do you feel he has a chance of doing something similar again?
Diaz tends to do really well against team that play high line and really push forward. And Bournemouth and Newcastle are two of the teams that do that a lot. So I think if we push up a lot, then they'll give spaces at the back. I think our right back who play against Diaz is Trippier. So if Trippier push up, then Diaz has a lot of spaces to work into, and his pace, I think, will cause us a lot of trouble. Yeah.
Interesting. For me, if you are someone who did not go Liverpool, I would say just stay out as well because we have not seen enough, right? We have just seen 20 minutes of good football from Liverpool, right? So we don't know whether the system is gelling, not gelling, right? And then again, it's not that the fixtures are turning yet, right? So post this Newcastle away, which is a tough match. Then you have Villa at home. I don't expect Emery to do that Newcastle madness again. So I would rather be a bit more conservative and again continue my wait and see approach. But you never know. I mean, with Leong's theory, if it works, then it can be great.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much straightforward. So those who went with double United, double Arsenal, and 6.5, I think should be comfortable and just they need to pray that it's the sort of the result what happened last year, and Salah goes quiet. Uh, if you had a Liverpool attacker, in my case, I probably will be inclined to do the sideways move at this point, because after seeing that Jota might not play, so even we've got an update from Neal that Gakpo might start in the forward with Diaz left. Since Gakpo, he presses the high line much better, and Curtis will play in the midfield behind, along with Sobzala and McAllister.
The issue with selling Arsenal or United midfielder for Liverpool is again they have good fixture in game week 3. Right? United again go back at home to another match. Arsenal go back at home to Fulham. And so I'm not as convinced that there's enough upside, or we have seen enough upside to take this decision today.
Okay, we have a typo in the third. The third, it's the city question coming up again there. So for some reason the slide has glitched up and it has put Mahrez and Gundogan. So let's skip that one and go to the next one. That's is it time to board the Madison train?
Yeah, we can see from Game Week 1 that Ainge actually focuses his attack around Madison, which he's involved in every attack and just pulling all the strings in the midfield, which usually Kane will be occupying that position, drop off, and then just trying to control the game. But then Kane left, so Madison came in, and I think he really impresses from the start until the finish with 2 assists, of course. So I think if you want to buy in Madison, I think it's a good time to do it now, even though they're going against United. Uh, they'll keep attacking, and Madison will be as involved as ever as well. So it's a good chance to bring him in, and I can see him continue to rack up the assists and even goals, because we don't know yet who is taking the penalty for Spurs right now, do we?
No,
No.
it might be Sun, it
So
might be
might be
Madison, it might
Madison
be
as well,
Saliba.
right? Yeah. And we can see that with Charlison, actually he started up front, but he doesn't do a lot in that game. So I'm not sure if Spurs will use that Kane transfer money to bring in another forward. So for this time, I think Madison is the best Spurs asset to own for now.
Yeah, I have to thank Nehal and his pod on Spurs because I was on Forden almost entire preseason before watching that podcast and talking to a bit of my to my friends, and everyone's like, "Hey, you need to just go through this pod because they will convince you," and they did. Right. I am also a believer that Kane's absence does better for Madison because he's a guy who likes to have those central spaces, like you spoke
Mhm.
about Leong. He's a guy who likes to score himself. I see him more as a scorer than a assister, in fact. And he has very good, XG to G conversion. I think he overperforms his stats well, and that is the reason. If you have Kane in that team, he's just bound to try to feed to Kane, right? But without Kane, he plays his natural game. Right now, this team does not have any particular hero, right? And he can play his natural game. He can become one for them, and that's one of the reason I got Madison in, and I was pretty happy to see his double assist. And I'm not going to say this is the time to buy Madison because United at home, but I think there's a good chance it's going to be high scoring game. I feel it's like 2-3, 2-2 kind of a game again. And if you're going there, and I mean, it's a good long-term decision. That's the best thing about it. Unlike Liverpool, I'm more convinced here because it's a good long-term decision. Though you can always take this decision in game week 3 as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue there. But for all the non-Salah owners, Neal has put up something saying that Salah has never scored in game week 2. What is this? What am I seeing? But he always scores in game week because he has Salah. He's saying he needs to find a sofa to hide. I don't know. I don't know. We need to double check this whether he
No,
is really. Is it?
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember
Oh,
seeing this last season. I remember seeing this stat last season. So one of those funny things which you don't believe. But it's also been the fact that Liverpool generally have good fixtures in game week 1 and a bit tougher one in game week 2. And this time it's reversed, right? So maybe it's not about the game week, right? It's just the fixture quality.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reason why Salah was so frustrated when he was subbed off because he used to score in every game for every season in Game Week 1, and for the first time he don't do that. So I think he's
And if
yeah.
he scored, he would have created a record. It would have been seven successive seasons. He would have scored in Game Week 1.
Yeah.
That was a record that he missed out on.
Hmm.
Okay, in that sense, one point which I wanted to get in about is that we've noticed that the average time the game, he's taking is starting to go up, right? With the added time now coming in, they're, precisely calculating for the amount of time there is stoppage, with fouls, free kicks, and all other things, and decided to go up. I think we will now see managers kind of take care of their key players more and more,
Hmm.
not exhaust them out. I think purely maybe Salah for regarding to that maybe Klopp would have done for game management sake.
Hmm.
Doesn't want to burn him out. They have a very important season coming up after not such a good one last season, and we I think we'll probably see a lot of teams do it. So maybe the top 6 7 teams that have European football, take care of their players more, because I think how much did we see the 14 15 minutes at a time in just half time, so averaging what 110 minutes or so, 115 minutes.
Yeah.
Just
Uh,
wanted to get that point out.
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, these are going to be longer games, and we will slowly start thinking about how to take these decisions. For example, last season we saw a lot of center backs coming becoming an option in FPL. But one of the reasons you can start thinking about fullbacks is fullbacks get subbed off, right? Center backs don't. So you'll have to start taking your decisions. Now I'm fairly bit more comfortable about Martinelli because what was 65 minutes for him earlier can be 75 minutes and still be another 30 minutes for the next time, right? So those kind of things, trends we'll have to slowly start observing before we take those calls. But will be interesting because it will impact football in some way and it will definitely impact FPL in some way.
Yeah, I can just give an example from the Newcastle game. So towards the end, we can see that Newcastle brought in fresh legs in Barnes and Wilson, and Villa actually you can see their back line has due to all the pushing they have actually tired out and lost concentration, which led to the mistake from Konsa and led to one of our goals. So just bringing in fresh legs like Barnes and Wilson actually tore them apart. So I think teams have to start playing how they want to end the game with as well as how they begin the game.
Maybe it's because of Villa, because every team that plays Villa plays 2 games against them, not one. I
I
don't
don't get it.
know. Only some people will know that. I think Sankal probably understood what I meant. Anyways, the next one is Alvarez, Julian Alvarez. Now we've probably got some news that KDB is out, maybe until early 24 Jan. So it's a bit of a disappointing news that we've had. Now in terms of FPL, obviously Alvarez, Foden, and all start to come under the equation. Obviously, we had Alex come in for the City stream, and he was kind of giving us a rough insight on this possibility. And with unfortunately KDB getting injured, we might have a 6 million forward from Man City now. I mean, who might have more nailed minutes than what previously he was. So, what do you guys think of that?
I actually really pity KDB's owner for Gaming One because they spent so much on him and their star player was off in a few minutes. But I did the same thing last season towards the end of season when KDB was out and I bought in Alvarez and expecting him to start. He did start a lot of games, but then if you look at the impact he has playing behind Haaland, it's not as good as the impact he has playing up front in the place of Haaland. And at moments he looked out of the game, he looked lost and he looked quite awkward and don't know where to run into. And he looked a lot better when Pep actually placed him on the left wing in game week 1. So not really sure if he's a good option if he starts consistently behind Haaland, unless he slowly learns more about that role. So yeah, for now, I don't think it's a good move to bring Alvarez in.
I am a bit more skeptical and dependent on the City transfer news, right? Because there are a couple of names already up. One is Lucas Paqueta, which I think City are pretty seriously into
Yeah,
and ideally should be closing. If Lucas Paqueta comes, that LCM position is his, and Foden now gets pushed around to right wing, right, as a possible starter. And then they also are highly strongly linked with Jeremy Doku, right,
yeah,
who's again a winger. And so this makes this decision far more difficult to take today. Because you might take a call today and suddenly there's another guy who comes in and will and the game week 3, the match you actually want to target, you will see the other player starting, right? You will see Foden starting instead of Alvarez. So I'd like to take some time. I think when we are speaking about the podcast that we did pre-season pod about City, Alex was bang on there where he said, with City, you will get a lot of good players, but you need to take your time to identify the correct one, right? So that's my thought for this season. I'm not going to jump on any City player and hope for his starts. I'll rather wait a bit, look out who are the players who are core starters, and then take my decision accordingly.
yeah. I'm just really quite surprised at why City took so long to bring in extra reinforcements after they sold players like Mahrez and Gundogan. So usually City acts quite early, like how they bring in Vardiol. So not sure why they don't bring in like Paqueta and Doku even earlier before the preseason games. So quite right now they are running quite thin in the midfield, so it might be a problem moving forward for them.
So,
Yeah. So we have the next one is Chilwell a must own since he played so attacking out of position. Now, contrary to that, I would say even Reece James was excellent against
Yeah.
Liverpool. So, there are two good players at the same price. You need to pick the right one now again.
uh, I, I think one thing we also have to keep in mind is Liverpool were fairly porous, right? And that made players like Chilwell, James look much better than they generally are. And at the same time, the tactics can be fairly different because Pochettino was talking about how he created that hybrid three or four at the back, primarily giving Chilwell more of a wing back role to get behind Liverpool midfield and try and create those chances, try and score a goal. But he said very clearly, I expect to use more of a four at the back. Right? So if Chilwell becomes a fullback rather than a wing back, his position can vary a bit more, and he may not seem as much of a winger as he seemed in the last game. So is he a must own? I'm not as confident because Chelsea will also concede. So if you take out those clean sheets, it takes out my must own factor. Is he a good player to own? Definitely, because you can get lucky. He can score a brace, he can score a goal, and you can get lucky. But they'll not keep a lot of clean sheets as of today. So you can take your time as well to transition that move.
Yeah. What I noticed is actually we have a very motivated Chilwell. The most motivated we have seen him for quite some time now. Usually he starts the season either on the bench or not playing at all. Maybe sometimes due to the mental problem, mental exhaustion problem that he had in the past. And he looks motivated, and you see that during press conference he said that he would like to go get a few more goals as well. He should have a few more goals in that game. So I think he'll be pushing forward as well in the next few games and will be as motivated as ever. So he'll score a lot. He'll get into a lot of good positions. So for me, I don't own Chilwell now, which is my time to hide behind the sofa when Chelsea plays West Ham this week. Yeah,
I would, I would probably agree with Sankar. We don't need to hide. He's got price rise and people are just running after him, basically seeing what they've seen. But just wait and watch. That's how people will start hyping, and we've seen how things go in the past as well. So I think you're pretty comfortable. You don't need to worry. Anyways, last question. Sell Bruno as Mount affected his attacking position or affect. This is Leong has put up this question.
yeah,
This particular one, very specifically, I'm going to point it out to him. Uh, if I want to answer this, I'll say absolutely not. I think it's a very dumb decision. It's a very knee-jerk, decision to make just by observing one game. And yes, Bruno dropped a big stinker, I would say, on Monday. It was probably one of the worst performances I've seen from him. Yes, he's not a robot. He's a human being, and obviously, it it was bound to happen. You need to accept that. Overall, United in general were bad, barring Varane and Van Bissaka, who saved us, and VAR. Uh, sorry, I got VAR in here. We got those 3 points, and now what we could probably see is that Spurs are not going to change the way they are going to play. They're going to play the way that Ange is probably looking to get in. Just play the highline offensive football, and so we will have players to run in behind now. And if Bruno is back at his A game, uh, his lethal passes, obviously line breaking ones, will help the front line to get those goals. So be patient, wait for this game, and if it doesn't, then I think you can downgrade to, like as Sankalp was saying, maybe Madison. If Madison plays extraordinarily well in this game, you can look at other players here and there. So for now, be patient, and we could probably see United improve. It was a very underwhelming performance because the first games, I mean, the first game for every team is difficult. They're playing proper competitive game. It's not a preseason game where nothing is at stake. Here everything is at stake, and the teams generally are a little bit cautious, and you don't see like a complete 90-minute rollover performance like how City did. So all other teams had to play and adjust themselves. Barring Brighton, they also played well, but other teams, I mean, we had those ups and downs. But United, it was not that great, so I think it should get better. So, in short, hold is what I would say.
Uh,
Yeah.
One thing I would like to say from whatever seen the game, position wise, Mount seems to be the guy who's still falling a lot more deeper than Bruno does. Right? I think Ten Hag has more or less made his mind that Mount is to be the guy who's going to create help in holding up and drive that ball up forward, and then it's down to Bruno to link with the attackers. Right? That's what came into my mind from watching some of the preseason matches and a bit of Wolves match as well. But we know more in the coming match. The good thing is this. I think Spurs match is right up to United's alley. And if United still look as disjointed as they looked in the Wolves match, then it's a easier call to make. Right. For me, in my mind, when I took Bruno as an additional United attacker, it was still a 3 week punt because I think the fixtures do turn after game week 3, and I'm not as confident. And we also have a lot to see with where Foden players like Foden and all pick up. Right. So it's also about discovering that 7.5, 6.5 million midfielder, which I'm not sure about. Right. So for the timing, I'm still sticking to him. Uh, I might not, even if it does well after 2 weeks, but I'm hoping that these 2 weeks turn out to be slightly better than game week 1 at least.
Yes, we need to recover those points that we lost, especially Rashford captain us know the pain. I'm going to pin this up what Nehal has put. He was very lucky he did not get booked. On the right, so he's saying he'll blame Casemiro as he did not control the midfield, put a lot of pressure and all here and there. Yes, descent. Players are getting booked for descent very easily now. So it is going to be very annoying for us to see, you know, minus ones, yellow cards, loss of bonus points. I think this year we are going to see a lot of pain there because referees are not even hesitant to book players. Little bit here and
And
there,
coaches.
they just pop the yellow.
And coaches.
And coaches. So Arteta is very famous for that. He gets pissed very easily. But yeah, coming
Yeah.
back to Nehal's question, is that purely because Wolves, completely outfoxed us? That's the reason we played bad, and they packed the midfield, as I said. So obviously there was no control, and you couldn't figure out a way to break them. And once they started to go behind, once Wolves stopped playing high, stopped pressing, and went behind, we could see a bit of control from United in terms of attacking a bit here and there. But that was a little bit late, and it was too late even from FPL point of view. We were seeing all the assets getting subbed off like Rashford. So, anyways, I think we're done with the dilemmas, right?
Yep.
So far,
Yep.
cool. Then let's wrap up this episode quickly. I said short episode. It's almost close to an hour. So, So, captaincy options, we just quickly cover this up and wrap it up. I mean, permanent captain option one is Haaland. I think let's not even debate, that's always there. Other than that, are these options sensible?
I would have Captain Salah if I owned him, but I don't. So the only sensible option for me this game week is Haaland for me. Yeah,
In my
Newcastle
mind,
finished
I
saying captain
wanted
Haaland.
yeah,
Very
in
good.
my mind I wanted to captain Rashford, but given I have not seen enough in game week one to do it again, and I don't want to do back to back, captaincy blanks. That's perhaps the reason I'm going to continue. I'm going to go Haaland this week, right? And just tell everyone when Rashford scores, hey, I could predict it.
I honestly don't have an answer here. I would say just I think we didn't follow the crowd, me and Sankalp for game week one. I
yeah.
think now
I
we should.
didn't as well. I Captain Saka.
But you
But
got
yeah, yeah,
returns.
yeah.
There is a
He got a
difference
return.
in
Yeah,
getting five. Even an assist would have been like okay, at least I've got something.
yeah.
But getting 3 points is like a pain. In here, I
Yes,
think Haaland is the way. If you don't have Haaland, the other options, is,
yeah.
Salah is a great option.
But it's
Madison is
interesting
a
to
bit
see
too
that
much.
three of us, none of us actually Captain Haaland in game week one. So it's a rare trend. In I think in all the podcasts, it's quite a rare trend that all the all the hosts actually never none of them Captain Haaland at all.
So
Yeah, we want to play a bit different, right? It gets boring at times. That's the reason. Boring, boring. Let's go to our teams, how boring they are. So, okay, slides not changed. Okay, now it's changed. So, we have Leong's team up front, I mean, up first here, and he's made a change. What was the change? Can you repeat?
Yeah, so I'll just briefly go through my team for those who listen on pod. So in goalkeeper, I decided to start Turner over Johnston, because Johnston is obviously facing Arsenal, and I have three at the back: Saliba, Colville, and Estupinan. I have a dilemma whether I want to start Colville or Shaw because actually expect both of them to concede based on what I see from the both of the team's defense in game week one. However, for now, I decided to go for Colville. Because expect Spurs to score more against United. However, we all know that Shaw has a better attacking potential, so I'll think about that. And in midfield, I'll go with the midfield five. So in here you can see that actually I still have Bruno. I have Bruno, Martinelli, Foden, Rashford, and Saka. However, just before the pod, actually I changed, have transferred out Bruno, and as Aditya said, it might be a dumb move earlier to transfer out Bruno so early. But I did that dumb move, and I have actually bought in a Liverpool attacker in Luis Diaz, and I expect his price to rise. I
yeah,
think tomorrow, or even if he don't rise tomorrow, maybe Friday. So he won't stay that price. But I'm not a price chaser. I just because I cannot bring in Salah in any ways without a hit. So I think the next best Liverpool attacking option to bring in is Luis Diaz. And in terms of the forward line, I have Haaland obviously, and also Visa, which did a job for me in game week one. So I'll stick with him because Brentford still have some good fixtures coming up. So I'm playing 3-5-2 and benching Johnson, Shaw, Archer, and Bayer without a game. So this is my bus team for now. And captaining
Okay.
Haaland. Yeah.
I think I would start Shaw. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You paid 5.5 and to bench a defender in game week 2. You should have not gotten Shaw in the first place itself
Mhm,
if you wanted to bench him. So just play him up. Obviously, he's going to take few set pieces.
mhm.
You're just going to pray that he does something. But
Yeah.
I would start him.
Yeah. Okay. I'll think about that.
Yeah, you can think about it. Okay, next let's go to Sankalp's team, and I'm going to pin this question straight. I think that question is also answered. Start Turner over Pickford.
I'm doing that. Yeah, I feel Villa are going to come back really strong after that Newcastle match, and they're going to score because it's a home match for them. So Sheffield, I think they play Nottingham Forest play Sheffield United at home. So it's a good. There's not a lot between the two, right? At max, it can be 2 pointer for both players. but there's a possibility that Turner just gives you a clean sheet. And I rate Turner as a goalkeeper myself. He's a good goalkeeper. He could not show it much at Arsenal, but he's a good keeper for me, right? So no changes for me. The only thing I did is Henry goes to the bench and Cass comes in at home against Everton. And apart from that, Chilwell and Estupinian. Midfield is straightforward: Madison, Martinelli, Saka, Rashford, and Bruno. And then you have Haaland and Watkins up front. Haaland is the captain for this.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why we should start Turner is if we observe Sheffield United's attack in Game Week 1 is almost non-existent. They don't really look like scoring a goal as well, and they don't bring in a lot of reinforcements so far. I think Archer haven't signed for them, so I think Osula is still raw. So don't they don't look like scoring, and I expect
Don't jinx it, Liam.
yeah, I expect Forest to have a good chance of keeping a clean sheet against them in Game Week 2. That's why I think that's why we both started Turner.
Don't jinx it. I hope
Yeah,
it.
don't jinx it. Yeah. Okay.
It's like last year, uh, what was he? Danny Ward. Uh,
Yeah,
he was hauling. He was losing
yeah, he
clean
brought in
sheets.
a lot of
All
people.
different phases we have seen of a 4 million
Correct,
keeper.
correct.
Uh, anyways, so last but not the least is my team. Yeah, so a little bit template here and there. My Saliba move actually went in. I don't know how. As the house was done, I just pressed it once and I closed it off, and it happened. Yeah. So I am starting with Onana. I've paid five for a keeper. I'm not going to bench him for Turner. It's just a stupid thing to do. I mean, yeah, you can argue that you need to score more points. Obviously, he has more sense, but no, it doesn't make sense for me. So Onana starts in Chilwell, Estupinian, Saliba template. Mitoma template. Jota will probably go out for Diaz since Neil said that Jota is like
Mm.
not sure of starting, so I have to transfer him out. Bruno Fernandes hopefully does something. Bukayo Saka. Rashford is still captain here. I have not changed it because even I wasn't sure of what to do, so I was like, you know what, stick it
Keep it.
for now.
Keep it at him. I'm sure he will score.
Yeah, then once Haaland holds and he blanks, I think you guys can have the last laugh. Then the two forwards are Nicholas Jackson and Haaland. Jackson, I'm expecting him to start playing well. He showed good signs, so not disappointed. But obviously, I could have saved money and gone for João Pedro and got those exciting whatever 7 or 9 odd points. But I
It's a
had to
good
take the
long-term move. I
long
like
term
Jackson
move.
more better.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you lose the points. What João Pedro
You will
scored.
gain. You lose some, you gain some, right? You cannot get penalties all the while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree, but yeah, that's the thing. And then obviously Turner on the bench, Destiny Udogi on the bench. Mubama is not going to play, and Kabore doesn't have a fixture. Kabore actually looked good against Brighton. I think
Yeah.
I saw the game, and the commentators were also saying that he had put up a good performance overall. So I think he looks like a good pick for four. Obviously, Luton not lot spoken, but we'll see maybe over the course of the season. But yeah, I still have 1 million in the bank. So that's the reason I went Jackson. I should have spent more. But yeah, I think if I downgrade Jota to DS, I think I'll still have another 1.5 million or so. I don't know. We'll see. That's what we have tinkering to do, and
Yeah.
that's it.
I
I think.
actually I have just want to say I actually have 2.5 million in the bank right now. Not sure what to do with that. So maybe for Game Week 3. And just now you pointed about Cabore. So for me right now he's the best option for 4.0 for me right now. Yeah, and also don't worry about Jackson. I'm sure he'll score at least one in this one. I'm quite sure about that.
I really do hope after the amount of points that I've lost and not captaining Haaland and not going Embomo, not going Watkins or Pedro, here and there, slightly you play different, you get slapped. That's how the template has been over last season and this season. It's fair to say that's why it's the template. So with that being said, I don't think that we have any questions from the chat. We have pretty much covered everything over the course of this stream or episode if you're listening on audio platforms. So, guys, any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
Yeah.
uh, yeah, for me, so just to stay calm for all the managers, not to make rash transfers, even though you actually don't really score a lot, and maybe your rank is around 6 to 7 million in game week one. Don't worry too much, because you have to trust why you actually buy these players, and you have to stick with them. If they don't perform for maybe another 2 or 3 weeks, then maybe you can consider selling them. But for now, stick with what you believe in before the start of the season, and then just observe what happened. That's my advice.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I step. Go on, go on.
Yeah, don't start making your assumptions today. I think game week 2 is a much better place to start thinking on those lines, because some of the managers are going to react to game week 1, make some changes. So observe all those things and then start taking your decisions, maybe game week 3, right? And if you like our pod, just throw in a like, subscribe, right? So we are going big this season. We have a lot of people coming on board. We have this was the first time we did a post game week pod. Nehal and FPL Kante I thought were really good. I hope to bring in more. I hope we bring in more and more quality content, and I hope that you guys share it with your friends and give us more and more followers or more and more audience to talk to.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, Sankar pretty much helped me finish it up. So yeah, as even Leong said, believe, believe. Ted Lasso said, believe. If you watch Ted Lasso, so believe in your players. Have the faith. Be patient, and if things don't work out, obviously, you have how many? 37 odd more weeks to play. 36 odd post game week two.
A lot of time. Okay.
A lot of time is there. So yeah, I'm going to just spin this, and it's a marathon and not a sprint. And with that being said, we wrap up this episode 12 of the Game Week Navigators podcast or stream. We covered up Game Week 2. So if you guys want to look at Game Week 1 review, we'll drop the link in the description. Do join us on Friday night as we take a closer look at Game Week 2. We are going to do a deadline day stream, and everyone's favorite FPL underscore so FPL will be back for that particular stream, as he'll get in his thoughts for Game Week 2, and we'll have much more better updates as we get closer to the deadline. Okay guys, thanks for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
We'll see you all
Yeah.
next week.